Hello World of Gamers, back with a collection video. This one is for Lover 30. I'm assuming that's what it spells, 10V3 or 30. Someone who commented recently on my throwback Nintendo DS, 3DS collection video from about 2019, I think that was. After going back and forth, sharing some enjoyment about the Nintendo 3DS and Nintendo DS, I decided that I would do an updated collection video to show what that collection looks like today. The original 3DS DS collection that I had, I started collecting in about 2017, I think it was. I picked up a brand new shiny turquoise 3DS and roughly 30 games, and they were all heavy hitters back then. It was every single Mario game, every single Mario Luigi game, every single Sonic game, Metal Slug, which was already expensive then, all the Donkey Kong Mario games, all the Zelda games. There was just so many amazing games, and it cost us about £250 back then, which was a lot of money back then for a second-hand DS. Today, you'd probably pay about double that, and maybe even more. I was so happy when I got it at the time because I was in a bidding war on eBay. I didn't think I was going to get it. I got it with a last second bid and was like, way, time to start collecting for the DS 3DS. The reason I wanted to collect for the DS and the 3DS is because there is an abundance of Atlus games on those handhelds. So many amazing Atlus titles. I have a lot of them in the collection now. I don't have them all because unfortunately there are some games that have just gone up in price and kept going up in price and never come back down. So some of those are just a once a year purchase for me. I'm not going to go out and skint myself to get every single game when I can take my time. I can buy, sell, trade like I've always done. And that's what I did with that first collection. The collection today looks very, very different because the majority of the games that I got at the time, even though I wanted to keep a hold of them and play them, I realized that I was going to have to do some trading, do some selling so that I could get the games that I really wanted. And that's the way that I've curated my entire collection. So here we go. There's 42 games, I think, or 43 games to go through. So I'm going to try not to talk too much anymore and just show the games. Otherwise, this video is going to be absolutely massive. And nobody likes watching massive videos anymore. It's not like the old days when I used to watch Finn Gamer and Metal Jesus when he used to do these types of videos back in the day. Still does them, the pickups videos anyways with Reggie and the likes of Pito and lots of other people who used to do these types of videos. I still enjoy doing these types of videos. I still enjoy watching them. Okay, if you can hang on to the end, fantastic. Let's make a start. Starting off with a DS game which is still sealed, so it's going to be a little bit reflective if I don't hold it a certain way. So this is Master of the Monster's Lair. I think it might have a slightly different name in Europe. This is a US version. I picked this up for a reasonable price. When I'm looking for games like this, I'm always on the lookout for games priced at a reasonable price. I try not to pay too much for the games, and I was very fortunate. I found this and another one still sealed in the UK, a UK seller on eBay. So there we go. It came into the collection. The difficult part of this is going to be piling them all back up as well without them falling over. Another sealed DS game. This one is Ontama Rama. My Japanese pronunciations are not the best, so bear with us. I'm a Geordie. I have a strong Geordie accent. This one I picked up for, I think it was about £12-15 sealed, and you can still get it sealed for about £20-25. Another sealed DS game. This one was picked up at exactly the same time as Master of the Monster's Lair, which was priced at a reasonable price again in the UK, a UK seller on eBay. A lot of these games are coming from eBay as well because where I live in the UK, it's near on impossible to find Atlus games in the wild unless they're new Atlus games or some of the more popular Persona games on the PSP, for example. So this one is Summer Night Twin Age. These games are going to stay sealed Even though there is some fear at the moment, and I've made a video about this, that DS games, any game, any new game on a cartridge is going to die at some point because of flash memory. I made a video saying keep those games sealed, because whether or not they're going to work in the future does not matter too much, because there's a market for sealed games. There's a market for collecting games as art, and that's going to continue, and it'll probably take over in terms of games being priced at high prices. It'll take over the unsealed games, and I think I said that years ago as well. Next up, not sealed but in a protective case, Devil Survivor 2. I haven't played this one yet. I have played the first game all the way to the end, and I do have the 3DS updated version of this one, but not the first one, because that one went up in price and has never come back down. Deep Labyrinth, a dungeon crawler style game with the use of the stylus. Etrian Odyssey, the very first game. I managed to pick up all three of these games, I think it was last year or maybe the year before, all at reasonable prices. I caught them all at the right time on eBay and was like, get in! Because the second and third one, they used to have very high prices, but they did come back down slightly and they've gone back up again. Izuna, Legend of the Unemployed Ninja. I do want to play this one at some point soon. It's been on my radar for a long time to actually pop it in and start playing it. I just haven't gotten around to it. It is a dungeon crawling game with a little bit of humour to it. It is a game that's expensive as well, but I got it as at a reasonable price, and you will hear me say that over and over again. Etrian Odyssey 2, as I said before, picked up recently. Trauma Center, Under the Knife. I've tried playing these games before. The Wii versions were terrible with the Wii controls. The DS versions with the stylus are a little bit more playable, but still not the best. Luminous Arc. I'm yet to give this series a play. Every single game that I have, I do intend to play at some point. Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor. I've beat this game once. There are multiple endings, so I could, if I wanted to in the future, go back through it. I think what I'll do is I'll wait until I eventually pick up the 3DS version, which is a slightly enhanced version, and go back through it again then. Fantastic game, brilliant story about a lockdown. I realised during the UK lockdowns, there were a few games released in the past that had themes of lockdowns. This one I picked up for £5, would you believe? Trackmania DS. It's hard to come by sometimes, and it's even harder to find it at the price that I found it at. That's happened a few times with some of these DS games. I found them at such low prices, and I think sometimes do people actually realise what they've got when they're listing games on eBay. This is another example. Bomberland Touch. I paid, I think, £10 for this one a few years ago. It's more of a Partyland game than the actual original style of Bomberman. I'm not that fussed about playing it. I will at some point go all the way to the end. Trauma Center, Under the Knife 2. This is a US version. You will notice that I have a lot of US versions for the simple fact that they tend to have Atlus on the front cover, whereas the European releases, they will usually have a different publisher and have Atlus on the back somewhere. I do prefer the US copies whenever I can get a hold of them. Some of them don't even have Atlus on because they weren't published by Atlus in Europe. Radiant Historia. There is a 3DS version of this, which is way more expensive than the original DS release. I will pick it up at some point. It's a game that sounds like it is a really good game. And again, it's on my list of games to play. I have so many on my list of games to play and only so much time to play them. Another find at a very reasonable price. This used to be a mega expensive game when I was looking for it a few years ago. This is Draglade, and it's a bit of a unique game. I'll just quickly read a little bit from the back. It's a combination of fighting and like rhythm-based mechanics as well. Etrian Odyssey free. This one, I think, if I remember correctly, was the more expensive one of the original trilogy released on the DS. I think I paid about 70, 76, 75, 76, something like that, which, you know, that's a lower price than what I've seen listed in the past. I've seen this at like 150, close to 200 sometimes. Touch Detective, yet to give this one a play. It's kind of the type of game I would have played back in the day, like a point and click style of game, murder mystery type of game. I don't think that one's murder mystery, but old PC style murder mystery point and click games. That's what it reminds us of. Prince of Persia, not an Atlus release, but I do love Prince of Persia games, especially the old style of Prince of Persia. And this one is kind of in that old style platforming, side-scrolling type of game. This was a recent pickup, a dungeon crawler. This is Cheyenne the Wanderer Mystery Dungeon. It's the first one in this series that I've owned. It is a series that I've looked at time and time again in the past and never picked up any of the games until just now. There are some games in this collection that aren't Atlus games still. Legend of Zelda, Phantom Hourglass. I recently spoke about how this is one of my favourite Zelda games of all time. I finished this years ago when it originally came out. I found the use of the stylus to be such a unique way to play the game. I absolutely loved it. I know some people don't like that way of playing the game, but it worked for me. Nintendo, I've said this plenty of times in the past, Nintendo, when they come out with innovative ways to play video games, they really do stick to it. They don't just bring something out and then leave it alone and never advance what it is that they've brought out, unlike some other video game companies. Sony, PS Vita. Snowboard Kids. This is the European version, which has Rising Star on the front, and it has Atlus only on the cartridge. I do intend to pick up the US version at some point because I want that Atlus on the front. An example of a game that was a very, very low price and then suddenly jumped up during the pandemic, during the lockdowns. It has come back down slightly, but it has stuck around about £50, and I paid £5 for this. I was very surprised when this one jumped up in price, and I think it's simply because it's quite a unique game. I haven't played Earthbound, but this game, from what I've seen of Earthbound on videos on YouTube, seems like it's a similar sort of game. Another example of finding a game at a low price when it is usually at a high price, Puyo Pop Fever. This one is a game that I've very rarely seen listed in the UK. I don't even think, to be honest, that I have before finding this one. It's usually only listed in the US and Canada. To import it, it would cost about £50 to £70. I found this recently on eBay, a UK listing for, I think it was £15, so I snapped it up. It was listed in an auction with a buy it now price, so I bought it. This one is still a very expensive game, but I did find this at a much lower price than what you usually see it listed for. This was a game for a long time between £100 and £150 on eBay. I think 2 years ago I paid £75 for it, which to me was a bargain. Tokyo Beatdown the game is, which is a side-scrolling, old-school beat-em-up style of game. I popped it in, and to be honest, I wasn't that impressed with it. You know, for the price that I paid, I wasn't that impressed with it, but hey-ho. It's a game that I think it's never ever going to come down to a price where, you know, it's like £20, £30. I think it's only ever going to go back up again. Touch Detective, 2.5. second game in that series. There was a third one released, but I think it was a Japanese exclusive. A game that surprised me that hasn't gone up in price instead, it's actually come back down. Rondo of Swords. This to me is a game that is worthy of having a higher price. It is a game very similar to the Langrisa series, which is a series of games that I love, and I've only just recently beaten the first game, even though I love the series. I started it years ago, got distracted, started again, got distracted. Eventually, I played the remastered version on the Switch and got all the way to the end of it. This game is very similar. You could say a spiritual successor. Luminous Arc 2, cardboard box version, which comes with a CD soundtrack. Atlus are known for doing this, for putting out games that are a little bit more than your average sort of retail release. You can find a lot of these boxes, these box versions on the Nintendo DS. Luminous Arc is, from what I can tell, a similar series to the Disgaea series. Here is another one. Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey, another one with the CD soundtrack inside. This is another game that is often priced towards £100, and I managed to pick this up, I think, for about £50 recently, a couple of years ago, I think it was. What happened was, after the UK lockdowns, when prices had gone sky high because people couldn't go to shops and buy games, so people were charging double, triple, quadruple the price on eBay. Once that ended, prices for a lot of games started to steadily come back down, and that was when I started to capitalize and pick up the games that I had wanted for a long time. Persona Q, Shadow of the Labyrinth. I'm assuming that this one is still sealed, and I'm assuming that this was originally in the big box, because I bought it like this, and I bought it at a reasonable price as well. It is one of the games that people say stops working. It's one of the ones that's known to stop working. However, I'm keeping it sealed. Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey Redux, the 3DS version. This is a French language version which also plays in English. As I've said in another video before, this used to be one of the cheap ways to buy the Shin Megami Tensei games released on the 3DS. It's no longer the case. The European sellers have obviously been watching people buy the games at low prices and started putting the prices up. Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor 2 Record Breaker, the slightly enhanced version of the game that I've already showed. This, again, like so many other 3DS games and DS games, was priced at a high price. It was going up and up and up, and then it suddenly came back down. I think I paid £60 for this and another game that used to be at a high price. And when I opened the games, I thought, there's something off about these games, and I'm not too sure if I've picked up legit games here, even though they were in a store, a local store. I did a bit of researching, and what I found out was that there was a re-release, a reprint, another rerun of some of these 3DS games, and that brought the prices down because these games were brought out in cheap plastic boxes, often with no paperwork inside, and therefore it brought down the prices of some of the more expensive games. Pokemon Moon. I've recently started to get back into Pokemon. The only game that I actually played in the past was Pokemon Yellow on the Game Boy. And part of the reason why I decided to start buying Pokemon games now is because from an investment standpoint, those are games that probably forever are going to be collectible. There's a lot of Pokemon games that have very high prices that I probably won't go anywhere near, but I'm snapping up some of the lower priced ones. This one you could consider a bit of a hidden gem. Lego City Undercover, The Chase Begins, the prequel to the original game. I am going to play this at some point. It's kind of like a tame version of Grand Theft Auto for kids. Pokemon Sun. Etrian Odyssey 4, which was the first Etrian Odyssey game that I picked up because it was the lowest price one, and it still, I think, is the lowest price one. I don't know why that is, because all of the other games have had higher prices. Persona Q2, new Cinema Labyrinth. This game has gone up in price, especially if you've got a sealed copy. I did buy this brand new at a low price. I opened it up because I was going to play it, and I've not gotten around to playing it yet. It's, from what I can tell, in the style of the Etrian Odyssey dungeon crawler style of game. Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse. I avoided picking up the first release of Shin Megami Tensei 4 for the simple fact that it wasn't released in Europe. I don't think it was anyways. I think I'm correct about that. Correct as if I'm not correct about that. However, since I've modded my 3DS, I can now play games from different regions, so I am going to pick up the first version of this game. This is a German language release. Again, like I said before with the other Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey game, this used to be a cheaper way to get this game outside of the UK, and now it isn't. Poochy and Yoshi's Woolly World. I love anything unique like this, like Kirby's Epic Yarn. They're fantastic games that are just games for me to dip into every now and again and go off on a little relaxed adventure rather than some hardcore JRPG style of adventure. Etrian Odyssey, Untold the Millennium Girl. This is a reworking of the first game. I'm still playing this one. I've been playing it for quite some time. I just keep playing a little bit, going off to another game, coming back to it every now and again. I do enjoy this style of game. However, they can require quite a commitment if you're just going to go straight into the game and commit all the way to the end. Sometimes I prefer to do it that way, and sometimes I'll just break it up into manageable segments. I do like the being able to create your own map as you're going through the dungeons. It's quite a unique experience on the DS and the 3DS. Shin Megami Tensei Devil Summoner Soul Hackers, a reworking of the original game. This is the other game that I picked up with Devil Survivor 2 for a low price and was questioning, are these legit? They are legit. They're just cheaper, crappier versions in terms of the cases and the paperwork and blah, blah, blah. The game's still the same. And then finally, Stellar Glow, another game like the others that had a high price, suddenly came crashing back down from like £100 to like £40, which again had me scratching my head like, what's going on? This was another one that got a re-release, it got a reprint, a rerun, it was put back out again, and the price came crashing back down, which is good for collectors. Good for me anyways. And that's it. That is my updated 3DS, DS video game collection, and there are still a few Atlus titles that are missing from this collection that I would like to put into it, and I will do slowly at a manageable financial pace. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for your likes and your comments and the recent subscribes. I'm not a person who promotes subscribing to the channel. You are free to do whatever you want and watch whatever you want, but I do appreciate you stopping by. Catch you in the next one. Stay safe out there. Peace.